The betrayal. The arrival. Captain Elena Vasquez stepped through the airlock of Nexus Station, her diplomatic case clutched firmly in her right hand. The neutral trading post floated in the void between human and alien territories, a testament to what cooperation could achieve. Built jointly by 12 different species, it served as the galaxy's primary meeting ground for interstellar politics. Elena had spent 3 years preparing for this moment. The peace negotiations between humanity and the Kethvar Empire had been her life's work. At 42, she had already brokered 7 major treaties across human space, earning respect from both allies and former enemies. Her dark hair was pulled back in a simple bun, and her blue uniform bore no weapons, only the golden dove of Earth's diplomatic court. The station's central hub buzzed with activity. Traders from dozens of worlds conducted business while automated translators chirped constantly, converting hundreds of languages into comprehensible speech. Elena walked through the crowd, noting the careful distance other species maintained from her. Humans were still newcomers to galactic politics, having achieved faster-than-light travel only 50 years ago. Captain Vasquez, a voice called behind her. She turned to see Dr. Sarah Chen, Earth's leading xenolinguistics expert, hurrying to catch up. Sarah's face showed the strain of the past weeks. The Kethvar delegation arrived 2 hours ago. They're in Conference Room 7 with representatives from the Galactic Tribunal. Elena nodded. The Tribunal's presence was both encouraging and concerning. Their involvement meant the galaxy was taking these negotiations seriously, but it also meant failure would have consequences far beyond human space. The stakes. The conflict had started 18 months ago, when human colonists on Kepler 442 bits discovered massive deposits of quantum crystals beneath their settlements. These crystals were essential for advanced faster-than-light engines, making them incredibly valuable. Unfortunately, the Kethvar Empire claimed the system based on an ancient territorial map that predated human arrival by 3 centuries. What began as a diplomatic dispute quickly escalated when Kethvar warships blockaded the human colony. Earth's response had been measured, sending 3 defensive cruisers to protect civilian evacuations. But when a Kethvar dreadnought fired on an unarmed hospital ship, killing 200 people, the situation changed dramatically. Admiral Marcus Kane, Earth's fleet commander, had wanted to respond with overwhelming force. "We've tried diplomacy," he had argued during the emergency session on Luna Base. "They fired on medical vessels. The time for talking is over." But Elena had convinced the Earth Council to give peace one more chance. "Violence only breeds more violence," she had said. "If we respond with war, we become just another aggressive species. Let me try to find a solution that saves lives on both sides." Now, walking toward Conference Room 7, Elena carried the hopes of billions of humans and the weight of preventing the first major war in humanity's short galactic history. The negotiations begin. The conference room was a masterpiece of neutral design, with a circular table accommodating the different physiologies of 12 species. Elena took her seat across from Ambassador Theron, the Kethvar Empire's chief negotiator. Theron's reptilian features were hard to read, but his golden eyes tracked Elena's every movement with predatory intensity. High Executor Voss of the Galactic Tribunal called the session to order. The tribunal leader resembled a tall, elegant bird, with iridescent feathers and a voice that resonated with natural authority. "We gather today to resolve the territorial dispute over the Kepler 442 system. Both parties have agreed to binding arbitration." Elena opened her diplomatic case and activated a holographic display showing the disputed system. "Honored representatives, humanity proposes a joint development agreement. We will share the quantum crystal deposits equally with the Kethvar Empire. Both are people's benefit, and no blood needs to be shed." Theron's translator converted his hissing response into standard galactic. "The humans speak of sharing what was never theirs. Kethvar maps clearly show our claim to this system. We demand complete withdrawal of human forces and colonists." "Those maps are 300 years old," Elena replied calmly. The system was uninhabited when our colonists arrived. International law supports the rights of those who develop unclaimed territory. The debate continued for 6 hours. Elena presented evidence, offered compromises, and appealed to both logic and emotion. She spoke of human children who had been born on Kepler 442 bits, of families who had spent their life savings to travel to a new world. She showed images of the thriving colony, the schools and hospitals humans had built. But as the day wore on, Elena began to sense something was wrong. Theron's responses became more aggressive, and several tribunal members who had seemed sympathetic earlier now appeared distant. During a recess, she noticed increased security around the station and saw several ships approaching on long-range sensors. The trap revealed. When negotiations resumed, High Executor Voss announced, "The tribunal has reached a preliminary decision. We find the HFY territorial claim to be valid based on historical precedent." Elena felt her heart sink, but she maintained her composure. "Honored Executor, I respectfully request the opportunity to present additional evidence regarding the interpretation of interstellar territorial law." Theron stood, his 7-foot frame towering over the table. "There will be no more delays. The humans have 24 hours to evacuate Kepler 442 bits, or we will remove them by force." "Ambassador Theron," Elena said, standing as well, "surely we can find a peaceful solution. The loss of life from forced evacuation would be enormous. Many colonists are elderly or sick and cannot survive relocation." Theron's golden eyes seemed to glow with satisfaction. Perhaps the humans should have considered this before illegally occupying HFY territory. Elena looked around the room, seeing the faces of representatives from dozens of worlds. Is this what galactic civilization has become? Do we abandon millions of innocent people to satisfy ancient territorial claims? What precedent does this set? High Executor Voss remained silent, but Elena noticed his feathers had taken on a darker hue. Other representatives avoided her gaze. The room felt heavy with an unspoken truth that Elena was only beginning to understand. "The decision is final," Theron announced. "Human forces will withdraw or face the consequences." The betrayal. Elena activated her personal communicator to contact Earth, but found the signal blocked. "I demand the right to consult with my government," she said, her voice sharp with growing alarm. "That will not be necessary," High Executor Voss replied. His translator gave his words an ominous undertone that hadn't been there before. "The tribunal has made arrangements to ensure compliance with our decision." Elena's training kicked in as she recognized the signs of betrayal. The increased security, the arriving ships, the sudden change in demeanor from previously sympathetic representatives. This wasn't arbitration. It was a setup. "You planned this from the beginning," she said, backing toward the wall. This entire negotiation was a sham. Theron's translator crackled with what might have been laughter. "Humans are so naive. Did you really believe you could claim the galaxy's most valuable resources without consequence? The HFY Empire has agreements with 17 other species. Your little colony world is surrounded." Elena's mind raced. If this was true, the human colonists on Kepler 442 bits were trapped. But more than that, this betrayal during official peace negotiations would be seen as an act of war by Earth's government. The Galactic Tribunal's complicity made it even worse. "Admiral Kane was right," she whispered, understanding flooding through her. "He said you couldn't be trusted." "Your Admiral Kane is welcome to try to rescue your colonists," Theron hissed. "Our combined fleets are already in position. Any human ships entering the system will be destroyed." Elena reached for her emergency beacon, but security guards were already moving. She looked at High Executor Voss one last time. "History will remember this betrayal. You're about to learn what humanity does when diplomacy fails." The first plasma bolt caught her in the chest before she could activate the beacon. The second and third ended Captain Elena Vasquez's life and humanity's faith in galactic justice. Her body fell to the conference room floor as the galaxy's most decorated peacemaker died far from home, surrounded by those she had tried to save. The message. Dr. Sarah Chen screamed Alina's name, but the security guards held her back. She watched in horror as her friend and colleague died, then saw the cold satisfaction on alien faces around the room. In that moment, Sarah understood that everything Alina had believed about galactic civilization was a lie. But Alina's death was not in vain. Her personal recorder, designed to survive hostile environments, had captured everything. The device automatically transmitted its contents through quantum channels back to Earth, using communication methods the aliens didn't understand or detect. 18 minutes after Alina died, Admiral Marcus Kane received the transmission at Luna Base. He watched the entire recording 3 times before calling an emergency session of Earth's Security Council. The images of Alina's murder played on screens across human space, witnessed by billions of people who had believed in their ambassador's mission of peace. The age of human diplomacy had ended in a conference room light years from Earth. What followed would reshape the galaxy's understanding of what humanity truly was when pushed beyond the breaking point. Part 2. The Response. The Decision. Admiral Marcus Kane stood in the command center of Luna Base, his weathered face illuminated by the glow of tactical displays. Around him, Earth's military leadership watched the recording of Alina Vasquez's murder for the 5th time. The silence was deafening. Kane had known Alina for 12 years, had served with her during the Centauri border crisis, where her diplomacy had prevented a war with the Rigel Confederation. She had been brilliant, compassionate, and utterly convinced that words could solve any conflict. Now she was dead, killed by the very beings she had tried to save. "Sir," Commander Jake Wilson said quietly. The Special Operations Officer's voice carried barely controlled rage. "We have confirmation from our deep space monitors. 17 alien fleets have surrounded Kepler 442 bits. 3 million human colonists are trapped." Kane nodded without taking his eyes off the tactical display. Red dots representing enemy ships outnumbered the small human defensive force by 20 to 1. It was exactly the kind of overwhelming odds that Alina would have tried to negotiate away from. "Admiral," General Patricia Hayes spoke from her position at the intelligence console. "Our Xenopolitics team has analyzed the recording. This wasn't a spontaneous betrayal. The coordination required means they've been planning this for months, possibly years. They used Alina," Kane said, his voice deadly quiet. "They used her desire for peace to buy time while they assembled their trap." Dr. Robert Mitchell, Earth's chief scientist, cleared his throat nervously. "Admiral, I have to remind you that engaging 17 species simultaneously would be challenging. Our fleet is advanced, but we're vastly outnumbered." Kane finally turned away from the displays. At 61, he had spent 40 years in Earth's service, fighting pirates in the asteroid belt, defending colonies from raiders, and building humanity's first interstellar fleet. He had always been the voice of military pragmatism, while Alina championed diplomacy. Now, with her gone, the weight of protecting humanity rested entirely on his shoulders. "Dr. Mitchell," Kane said, "activate Protocol Omega." The command center fell silent. Protocol Omega was humanity's deepest secret, a contingency plan so classified that only 7 people in human space knew it existed. Dr. Mitchell's face went pale. "Admiral, Protocol Omega was designed for species-level extinction events. Are you certain?" "They killed our ambassador during peace negotiations," Kane interrupted. "They've taken 3 million human civilians hostage. They believe humanity is weak because we chose diplomacy first." He paused, looking around the room at faces filled with shock and determination. They're about to learn the difference between choosing peace and being incapable of war. The revelation. 24 hours after Alina's murder, the first phase of Protocol Omega began. Across human space, seemingly innocuous cargo ships and research vessels received coded transmissions. These ships, scattered throughout the galaxy over the past 30 years, had been carrying more than scientific equipment and trade goods. The cargo ship Meridian, conducting mineral surveys near the HFY homeworld for 5 years, suddenly powered down its mining equipment and activated systems that had been dormant since launch. Captain Lisa Park, who had spent years playing the role of a civilian contractor, finally dropped her cover as weapon systems came online. Similar activations occurred throughout 17 different star systems. Research stations studying stellar phenomena revealed themselves to be forward observation posts. Trade vessels unveiled sophisticated jamming equipment and weapons platforms. In every system where humanity had been betrayed, sleeper assets awakened. But the most significant revelation was yet to come. Commander Wilson's voice crackled over the comm as he led the first strike team. "Admiral, Ghost Fleet Alpha is in position around the HFY homeworld. Stealth systems holding, awaiting orders." The Ghost Fleet was humanity's greatest secret. While the galaxy saw Earth's primitive vessels with their crude chemical propulsion and simple weapons, humanity had been building something else entirely. Using technology reverse-engineered from ancient ruins found in the Sol system's asteroid belt, Earth had constructed a hidden fleet that made their public ships look like toys. "Admiral Kane," came another voice over the comm. "This is Captain Rodriguez aboard the Phantom. Ghost Fleet Beta is in position around the Tribunal homeworld. All targets are locked." More reports followed. Ghost Fleet Gamma surrounded the Zephyrian military shipyards. Ghost Fleet Delta held position around the Mantari trade nexus. In total, 17 different species found themselves staring at extinction without even knowing it. The hunt begins. Kane's first target wasn't military installations or civilian populations. It was specifically those responsible for Elena's murder. Using intelligence gathered over years of seemingly peaceful interaction, Earth's forces moved with surgical precision. Ambassador Theron was in his private ship, traveling from Nexus Station back to HFY space, when Commander Wilson's team struck. The reptilian diplomat's escort of 6 warships simply vanished, overwhelmed by weapons they couldn't detect until it was too late. Theron's ship was taken intact, its occupant transported to a human vessel for questioning. High Executor Voss met a similar fate. The Tribunal leader's ceremonial dreadnought, surrounded by the most advanced security in the galaxy, found itself suddenly boarded by humans who seemed to appear from nowhere. Voss's guards, trained warriors from the fiercest species in the galaxy, were incapacitated before they could raise their weapons. But Kane's masterpiece was the liberation of Kepler 442 bits. The 17 alien fleets surrounding the human colony had been confident in their overwhelming numbers. They detected the approach of Admiral Kane's public fleet, 23 human ships against their 400, and prepared for an easy victory. They never saw the Ghost Fleet ships that had been hiding in the system's asteroid belt for 6 months. The battle lasted exactly 17 minutes. When it was over, the combined alien fleet was either destroyed or disabled. Not a single human ship was lost. The 3 million colonists on Kepler 442 bits watched from their shelters as their planet's skies filled with debris from ships that had come to destroy their homes. The message, with the immediate military threat neutralized and the architects of Elena's murder in custody, Kane prepared humanity's response to the galaxy. Unlike the aliens who had worked in shadows and betrayal, Earth would deliver its message in the light of day for all to see. Every major communication relay in the galaxy received the same transmission simultaneously. The signal was broadcast in 400 different languages, ensuring that every spacefaring species would understand humanity's words. Kane appeared on screens across thousands of worlds, his uniform bearing the insignia of Earth's Naval Command. Behind him stood the flags of every human colony, including the bloodstained banner recovered from Elena's effects. "Citizens of the galaxy," Kane began, his voice carrying the weight of humanity's grief and anger. 3 days ago, Captain Elena Vasquez of Earth was murdered during peace negotiations. She died believing in the possibility of cooperation between species, killed by those she sought to help. Images played beside Kane's words. Elena arriving at Nexus Station with hope in her eyes. The conference room where she died. The alien faces that had watched her murder with satisfaction. For 50 years, humanity has chosen diplomacy over warfare. We have honored treaties, respected boundaries, and sought peaceful solutions to every conflict. We believe that civilized beings could resolve their differences through reason and compromise. Kane paused, and when he continued, his voice had turned to steel. We were wrong. The galaxy has shown us that peace is seen as weakness, that mercy is mistaken for fear. 17 species conspired to murder our ambassador and enslave our colonists. They believed humans would accept this betrayal because we had always chosen peace. The transmission switched to tactical displays, showing the positions of Earth's hidden fleets. Every species watching suddenly understood that their homeworlds were surrounded, their most vital installations targeted. Today, the galaxy learns the truth about humanity. We did not choose peace because we were weak. We chose peace because we understood the cost of war. But when our ambassadors are murdered and our people threatened, we respond with the same precision we once reserved for mercy. Kane gestured, and the displays showed the wreckage of the alien fleets around Kepler 442 bits, the captured ships containing Elena's killers, the satellite images of disabled military bases throughout 17 star systems. This is not revenge. This is justice, and it is a lesson. Humanity will no longer ask for our place in the galaxy. We will take it. Any species that threatens human citizens or violates our territory will face the same response. We have shown you mercy for 50 years. Do not mistake that mercy for inability. The New Order. The transmission ended, but its effects rippled across the galaxy for months. Every major power scrambled to analyze what humanity had revealed. How had they hidden such advanced technology? How long had they been preparing for this moment? How many other peaceful species were similarly capable of devastating warfare? More importantly, the political landscape shifted overnight. The Galactic Tribunal dissolved within a week as member species withdrew support. The Kethvar Empire's government fell when their military revealed the true extent of their losses. 17 different species found themselves facing internal upheaval as their populations learned how close they had come to extinction. But humanity's response went beyond military demonstration. The economic effects were equally devastating. Human trade ships, which had quietly become essential to galactic commerce, suspended all operations. Colonies that depended on human agricultural products faced food shortages. Species that relied on human technical expertise found their industries grinding to a halt. Kane had learned from Elena's example. Pure force would have made humanity another galactic tyrant. But combining overwhelming military capability with economic pressure and precise political maneuvering achieved something far more powerful: respect. Within 6 months, 43 species had signed new treaties with Earth. These weren't the tentative agreements of Elena's era, but comprehensive pacts that acknowledged humanity's equal status in galactic politics. The humans who had been seen as naive newcomers were suddenly recognized as a major power. Elena Vasquez had died believing in peace through understanding. Her death had instead brought peace through strength. As Kane stood in his command center, watching reports of successful diplomatic missions across human space, he wondered what she would have thought of the galaxy her sacrifice had created. The last transmission from Nexus Station had ended humanity's age of innocence. In its place stood a species that had learned the galaxy's hardest lesson: that sometimes peace could only be achieved through the demonstrated ability to wage perfect war. The humans had arrived not as conquerors, but as a force that would never again be dismissed or betrayed. Elena's dream of a peaceful galaxy had finally begun, built on the foundation of the fear her death had inspired in those who had killed her. Her legacy lived on, not in the words she had spoken, but in the silence that now greeted any suggestion of threatening human interests. The galaxy had learned to respect humanity's strength, and in that respect, Elena's vision of peace had found its truest expression.